What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Bronx Pinstripes Show. Scott, I messaged this to you all yesterday. I think that was the most depressing Yankees-Red Sox series I can remember. I'm sure in like the 2013-14 years when both teams sucked and were out of it, there was some series late in the season that didn't matter jack shit. But this one, just like the rainouts, and then there were these two doubleheaders in which Fenway Park was like 60% empty. No one's caring about the outcome of these games. No one's watching these games. Like the Yankees don't even have Jason Dominguez in the lineup anymore. Aaron Judge, who we're going to talk about, looked awful except for the last game of the series when he hit the grand slam. It was sad. It was sad to watch. And then I think a factor was like the Red Sox were just like, what are we doing here? Let's get rid of our general manager because this shit sucks.
Yeah, I mean, when you start going in the box score too, and you start looking at the names of people who are pitching, in the bullpen as well, you understand what the game is at that point during the season. So yes, it was and anytime there is a game in September when people are not in the seats, and it's whether it's Yankee Stadium or Fenway Park or Camden or even in Tampa, like it feels a little depressing. But when you have Yankees-Red Sox in September and there's nobody there at Fenway Park, which sells out all the time because there's no seats in that place, that's just like a sad state of affairs. Even the last series where we were up there, it's like, both teams were not doing well, but they were into it. There was still hope and a chance. And at this point in the season, that's where the hope and the chance goes away.
That's interesting.
Real quick, before we do that, I haven't had a chance to talk or at all talk about my own personal well-being and discuss anything about the injury that happened to Aaron Rodgers. And I'd like to talk about it because I do this
at the start. You want to do this at the start?
I want to do it right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So Jason Dominguez goes out, right? That was the first shoe to drop, or, you're looking at that and I'm like, oh, Yankees, of course, this year. And that's just my mentality being a Jets fan always, forever and ever and ever and ever. And, a lot of people looked at this season and they're like, oh yeah, this is the thing. It's going to be different. It's going to be different. And I'm like, oh, maybe. And I don't tweet as much as I used to, not even nearly, but the last few of them have been like, I don't know. It feels too good to be true. People are all like, Scott, are you excited about it? I'm like, yeah, I want to be. I really do. I want to be. Feels too good to be true. Looks like things are going too well. I definitely put that out a few times. And then sure as shit, I was talking to Bevan about this last night. It's because I'm still like contemplating what the hell just happened. We didn't even get like a quarter of that guy through. I don't remember if he even threw a pass. I don't remember if the ball came out of his hand. I don't remember. I blacked out with the 4 snaps. I have no idea what happened. I haven't gone back and looked. But we didn't even get a quarter of this guy like, oh, this is what it's like. Or, yeah, like just like a little bit of that. Nothing. Zero. Nothing. It's just the rug completely pulled out. And you sent me a video this morning that pissed me off a little bit because, or was it you? No, somebody sent it to me. I don't remember.
I didn't send you a video.
Who sent that to me? Hold on. Someone sent it. Maybe it was my brother. Oh no, my buddy Tyler, who's a Red Sox fan, of course. He sent me a video of what's the movie with Robert Downey Jr. where they're making a war movie? It's a comedy.
I don't know.
And they're down. It's like a Vietnam, but they're
crap. I can't think of the name of it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Anyway,
Ben Stiller was
Ben Stiller's in it, and they're starting it. They're down there, and they're down wherever they are filming it. And the director's like, "This is going to be the greatest war movie ever. You are all my people. You are my disciples. I am the." And then he steps on a landmine and just blows up.
Tropic Thunder.
Before the movie, before they even start filming at all, he's like this renowned director, and he just blows up like into a billion pieces.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, it was exactly Aaron Rodgers. It was like perfectly descript. And
you called it on the last podcast. Like literally when we spent the last couple of minutes on Sunday after we talked about the Jason Dominguez injury, we were talking about football and you were like, everything's going too well for the Jets. And then 24 hours later, because they played Monday Night Football, that happened.
Yeah. And you got 9/11, you got all the emotions happening and that him running out with the flag, like it was all set up and it was beautiful. And MetLife did a really good job with that whole thing. I thought it was really cool with the way that they did the lights and all that. And then it was didn't even get like anything, and it's just completely gone. And it's like it didn't even happen. That's what's so crazy.
Rodgers had a calf injury in the preseason, right? Or in the
Yeah, but it
training
was
camp.
like quote unquote a lingering little thing. But yes, now looking back
Well,
at that calf injury,
I saw an article that said those can be precursors to Achilles.
for sure they can be. Absolutely. So it just, it brings me back to this Yankees season and just how disappointing it's been and how many injuries have just plagued this team as well as the construction. But the injuries are certainly a big part of it. And then Dominguez going down, it's like, oh man, the hope taken away. And then freaking Rodgers goes down. I don't know what to look forward to anymore.
Think about how bad New York sports is right now. I mean, the Yankees and Mets both had high hopes this season, and both were dumpster fires. The Giants, while they probably weren't favored to win that division, there were hopes for that team. They lose 40-zip on opening night, and then the next night Rodgers
in prime
plays
time against the Cowboys.
And then the next night Rodgers is out in fourth place, and it's like, oh, okay, so all four teams that anyone cares about in the city don't matter this season.
It's a wild chain of events. It really is. It's crazy. Anyway, I got to a point now where I'm like, as a Jets fan, of course we weren't going to be able to get out of this funk with a guy that we bring in like Aaron Rodgers. Like that's too easy.
Because Aaron Rodgers has funk on him. Aaron Rodgers is funky. He's got funk.
It's not.
He's got
a great
stanky funk. Of course, he's a great quarterback, but that's
my point. You can't just bring in. That's
Packers
like bringing
fans,
in Mike Trout now, and Mike Trout's going to save the Yankees. That's not going to happen. And if Mike Trout were to come over, it wouldn't
because they would bring in Mike Trout, and he would immediately go down with an injury and miss the entire season.
Exactly what's happened. Exactly. So what has to happen for Jets fans and Jets team to exercise the demons? I'm convinced now that we have to win with Zach Wilson.
No,
it has to be the way. It has to be the way. There's no other way.
Well, there's not.
Can't bring anybody else in.
Zach Wilson is terrible. He's really bad.
Yeah, well,
the Jets are good. That's the thing. Like the Jets team is good. They have so much talent. Good. Last year they were good. If they didn't have Zach, if they had like like we talk about a league average, baseball. If they had a league average quarterback last year, they would have been a playoff team.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway. Just wanted to.
Sorry, I did text you. Sorry, the next day.
You did. I know, and I got a lot of those, and I'm not going to respond directly to that. What am I supposed to say? Thanks. I don't mean that.
Condolences. T's and P's.
Yeah, cool. Appreciate it. No, I don't. I don't appreciate it. I don't want that text.
Thoughts and prayers for this Yankee season. And you know what? I think I wish that there was some way to like sue the Yankees. I mean, I think Anthony Rizzo should sue the Yankees for negligence, and his career might be over. But I'm suing the Yankees because they've driven my dad to a point of insanity that I don't think there's any way he's coming back from. I dropped this text.
It does seem like it's too far gone at this point.
I dropped this text chain in our chat yesterday, but I just want to read it for the listeners because they're obviously familiar with my dad. So we were just talking during game one, and he's been crushing Judge for like the last 2 weeks because Judge has looked horrible, and Judge has looked horrible basically since August 15th. He's hitting 185 and he's striking out like 40% of the time. He's been terrible. But my dad was complaining about Judge, and I said, he is last on the list of problems with this team. It needs to be blown up in the offseason. The Red Sox fired their GM today. The Yankees need to do the same. My dad he doesn't respond to things I say. He just continues on with his rants.
Right, yeah.
Paying him a boatload of money for fans to see. His stats since return are dismal. Like I said, the organization better pray that he is not healthy because they are really looking foolish, in all caps, at this point. Not just the team and coaching, but their superstar, in all caps, player also, in all caps. I don't know why also is there or why it's in all caps. Then I said, they said when he returned, he isn't 100%, which is why there is no point to play him anymore. Shut him down. Then he says, the first thing on the list in the offseason, they need to acquire a leader, in all caps. And then this is where I knew he's too far gone. He says, remember Nick Swisher? Not a star player, but someone who didn't shit his pants under pressure, a la Judge. He has never proven himself as a leader under playoff pressure. Dad, I know you're not listening, but I'm going to talk to you directly. I love Nick Swisher as much as the next guy. fun, probably good clubhouse guy. I
Well,
think
might
did
be a little
contribute.
annoying in the clubhouse, possibly.
I think did contribute to some success in 2009, not just on the field, but off the field. Him and AJ Burnett did, I think, bring some
Absolutely.
looseness to
Which
that
is
clubhouse
important.
that was much needed.
Yes.
But Nick Swisher was not the leader of that team. That team still had Derek Jeter, captain of the Yankees, Jorge Posada,
Yeah.
another leader of the Yankees,
Field general.
Mariano Rivera,
Yeah.
another leader in that clubhouse, Andy
Right.
Pettit, another
Yeah.
leader in that clubhouse. They signed in that offseason CC Sabathia, who we now realize in hindsight was definitely a leader in that clubhouse.
100%. Just keep going. Sorry, my bad.
So at best case scenario, Nick Swisher was the fifth in command in leadership in that clubhouse. In reality, he was probably about 17th in that clubhouse.
Leader's not the right word. Hype man, guy who gets everybody fired up and like rallies the troops a little bit with non-leader type words. That's Nick Swisher. He's definitely like a hype guy. Like,
sure,
he's smacking everyone on the ass really hard. Like, really
but you know
hard.
what? Also, the dirty secret about Nick Swisher: terrible in the playoffs. Absolutely terrible in the playoffs. Never got a big hit. Never got a hit in the playoffs. Never mind a big hit. Aaron Judge has had his struggles in the playoffs. He also has had a number of big home runs in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
As I said in my text to Dad, Aaron Judge is the last on the list of problems with this team.
Yeah,
everything around him, other than Garrett Cole, is dog crap. Okay, that is the problem with this team. The Yankees have Cole, the Yankees have Judge, and they have dog crap around them.
Yeah, that's true. And he's playing. I don't care what Aaron Boone says. I don't believe him. It doesn't matter what he says to me. It doesn't matter what his quotes are about Aaron Judge being healthy and the foot is not a problem. The foot's a problem. The foot's a problem. I've seen this player play baseball now for how many years? However many years it's been. It's been a few years. And I know what he looks like. I know what he does. I know his tendencies. I can tell he is not right. There's something that's not right. You can tell when he runs, he doesn't look the same. There's something bothering him. And I promise you that it's bothering him within his mechanics. And he's not able to be the repeatable guy that he has been when he is so good. Thus the struggles. So,
I understand. And it's also funny that he hits the grand slam.
Rick needs to chill on Judge a little bit. Focus the attention on other people. Stanton is right in front of him. I don't know.
He doesn't mention Stanton. I think he just doesn't mention Stanton because he just pretends he doesn't exist. But then my dad this morning did text me, 1 hit in the 4 games. At least it plated 4! ! So Judge did hit the grand slam after my dad ripped him. So
pretty close.
I understand.
You published that text too, which is funny.
I understand why Judge wants to play. I actually respect that. But at this point in the season, we've got 2 weeks to go. The Yankees are not making the playoffs. Just sit down, dude. Like, we're all cool with that at this point. I don't want there to even be 0.1% chance he makes the foot worse and we have some shitstorm in the offseason. Just shut it down and let's get right for next season.
Yeah, there's nothing here. You're not proving anything to us. We get it. We understand. It's fine. That's exactly right. We want the long term over this short term that does not matter. You don't have to go down with the ship in this particular season. We get it. We know you want to. And that's why the New York Yankees need to take this out of his hands and shut him down.
Because he's never going to willingly go sit down. Like, he just was named captain. All right. So like one thing Derek Jeter always did, if he could get on the field, he would play. Absolutely. And that's what Judge is doing. And again, I respect the hell out of that.
Yeah.
The Yankees need to say,
hey, Pops, sometimes players lead with the way that they do things rather than what they say. They lead,
by example.
By example, thank you. And you don't need all of the words. And him going out there and showing up when the season is completely cooked is still a visual that he believes, and it's important. It's definitely something that people take note of. But you're not playing the way that you should be playing, and he's injured, man. Like, there's an injury. It's okay.
If he was still hitting, 290 and had an OPS over 1,000, and he's out there going, 1 for 3 every night with a walk and an extra base hit, sure, keep playing, fine. Like, but you're struggling terribly. The team sucks. all you're doing is potentially risking further injury. You want to like maybe get out there one more time for the next homestand to tip your cap to the loyal fans.
He doesn't
that
even
made it
want
out
to do
this
that
season.
though. Yeah, he would rather just not do that probably.
So yeah, Yankees take it out of his hands and shut him down, and just at the very least, so my dad can yell at me about somebody else, because man, so that to bring this full circle, I need to sue someone in the Yankees organization for my dad losing his mind, because this is unhealthy.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, some of it is driven by the person, you know. So when you look at the things that he's pointing at, I can't always blame the Yankees for the things that your dad is getting angry at. So
well, this season has driven him to madness, I think.
Yeah, which I get, and it's not just this season. It's a progression.
Yeah. So another thing I wanted to talk about is the Yankees above 500 streak. This is obviously in jeopardy. They're game over 500 with the series win against the Red Sox, but this is definitely in jeopardy. The Yankees have not had a losing season since 1992. That's the longest active streak in Major League Baseball. The longest all-time streak was set by the 1926 to 1964 Yankees, is 39 years. And the interesting thing about that streak is it spanned 3 clear eras. It started with like Ruth and Gehrig, then it bled into DiMaggio, and he carried that into Mantle. And through all of that, they won 623 winning percentage in that span. A 623 winning percentage over 39 years is insane. You say what you want about the league at that point, fewer teams, obviously like the league wasn't fully integrated until into that streak already, but holy crap, 623 winning percentage
also free
over
agency.
that time.
When did that streak stop?
Before free agency, yeah, 64. Yeah. But so still,
76 was free agency, and that with all the players that were not allowed to play, like you mentioned, changes everything. Yeah.
So, but still, 623 is insane. The Yankees' current streak, they're on a 586 winning percentage, which is also very, very impressive. It's obviously in jeopardy. This year, they've had a lot of seasons recently that have not been so hot. They were barely over 500 in the mid-2010s under Joe Girardi, like 13, 14, and 16. They were like mid-80s wins with no real hopes for those teams. But this era has really been Jeter and Judge. There was a small gap in there without Jeter or Judge, but like I wouldn't call that an era. It was a couple seasons. Jeter retired in 2014. There was 15 without them, and then 16 Judge is up later in that season. So this has been the Jeter and Judge era. It spanned 2 eras. And if they do reach that 39 season streak, it'll still be the Judge era because he's under contract for the rest of the decade. And if they reach it at the end of the decade, then he'll still be here, and it'll be 2 eras versus 3 eras. So just, some interesting numbers on the streak. I know I've asked you this question already, but like, I know you said you don't care. I really don't care whether they finish a game over or a game below 500. Guess what? Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And I part of me at this point, like I've said this in the past, like when failure is happening, it's you're in the middle of it. I kind of want max pain. Like I want things to just go completely to shit so that we can have some accountability. And that's the way I still feel for this team. Like I don't want injuries. That's not something I'm looking for by any means, but under 500, breaking that streak. Okay. Last place. Like maybe we should wake up. Maybe those are things that they need to actually wake up. And I feel like sometimes they do, they need those flags in the ground of suckiness, so that history can look back and be like, yep, that season, that's when the streak broke. That's when they were in last place and that team was dog shit. But if that doesn't happen, those little like milestone things about, how bad you actually suck, it could get glanced over again. And then, nothing changes. And that's not what I want. To me, that's the worst case scenario.
And that brings me to the next thing I want to talk about, which is ranking the futures of the AL East teams currently. So think about the future, call it next 5 years, right? So you got to take current roster into account.
Yeah.
Payroll flexibility, short and long-term talent, their farm systems, like all of those factors. If you had to rank the teams 1 to 5, like best future to worst future, how would you rank them?
I would rank them. I would say, I think Baltimore is a clear number 1.
I agree.
I would say,
And just as to why I think they're obviously winning the division right now. They've got so much young talent, which isn't going to hit free agency for the next 5
it's
years.
completely controlled. Yeah.
And
They look like the Braves of 3 years ago.
And their farm system at midseason rankings last month is still number 1 in baseball. They have 6 top 100 prospects.
Yeah. Plus Holiday's kid, who's just a stud.
And it's unlike
on his
Tampa.
way up.
Unlike Tampa, Baltimore does have the ability. I don't know if they will. They do have the ability to sign a big free agent.
That is true. That is true. A lot of people were looking back at what happened last year and that they should have gone after a big shortstop to put around these guys, which is interesting. But so I would actually put Toronto over Tampa. I think their young talent is better. I think they do have the flexibility to spend more, just like you mentioned. I think that's a hit on Tampa, actually, that they don't spend. And the Wander Franco thing is a big deal. Like that's their shortstop is
that's
gone.
massive. That
was a huge deal. He's a cornerstone player that was going to be there for a long time, and he very well maybe never play baseball again.
So the only argument, that's a good point. The only argument for Tampa over Toronto is their farm systems. Tampa's system is ranked 7th in baseball. They have 3 top 100 prospects, and they have time after time developed young talent. Whereas Toronto, yes, they've developed some talent recently on the offensive front. They're not known as one of the better farm systems in baseball. They're 25th, 2 top 100 prospects, and they're just not known as like a good developmental organization.
Yeah, but
they
fine.
do.
They have
they
Bichette
do
and Vlad
go,
Jr.
Yeah, they do go out and sign. They sign.
And they sign. They have 2 young studs too. They have some young talent over there that is major league ready and productive. So, when you're weighing the depth of their farm system, like there's only so much you can do. Like, yeah, you can put farm systems against farm systems, but you can't put farm systems against young players that are in the major leagues. That skews what the outcome is for the team, in my opinion. So,
and if we're talking about 5 years, Toronto, their young talent is definitely on par, if not better, than Tampa's young talent, especially with Wander Franco. And Toronto will retain their young talent,
and they will go out and get more pieces
right,
as needed. So I got Toronto 2, and then I have to put Tampa 3, Yankees 4, Boston 5.
So 4-5 Boston Yankees is a tough call. The Red Sox are also a dumpster fire. That's why they fired their general manager this week. Okay. The Red Sox, though, have a better farm system. They've got 4 top 100 prospects. They're ranked 16th in baseball for their farm system. So Chaim Bloom, who did get fired, has been working to build that system up. The Red Sox also have the ability to spend, even though they have not spent on players they seemingly should have spent on recently, Mookie Betts, Xander Bogaerts. Then they go out and sign Devers. The Yankees, on the other hand, 21st farm system. They've got 3 top 100 prospects, Spencer Jones, Jason Dominguez, and Everson Pereira. We saw, obviously, Dominguez and Pereira. If Dominguez didn't have this injury, I think I would clearly put the Yankees ahead of the Red Sox. But I think it's a coin flip because we don't know. And I know I said 5 years, but we don't know next year. Dominguez might be a non-factor, or he might not be a factor until midseason, or he might be a factor all season. We don't know. And I guess the number one argument for putting the Yankees ahead of the Red Sox is I'll take Judge and Cole over Devers and TBD pitcher.
100%. That's it right there. But here's the thing. We did see Jason Dominguez. He is going to be back next year. It's going to take him a minute to get his legs underneath him, but there's nothing saying that he can't be the same and progress as a baseball player.
No, it's just an unknown.
The floor as to where it is.
It's an unknown.
Yeah, but it's not really that much of an unknown. It's just it's more of an unknown of like exactly when he will be
Exactly.
back.
Exactly. Yeah. He will be back, but all I'm saying is we might not have the full force of Dominguez until 2025.
I think it's pretty clear that the Yankees are ahead of
the
Red Sox in that regard because of who's on their team currently.
But do you agree they're clearly in the 4th spot? Like it's not even in like I think Baltimore, Toronto, Tampa in some order are clearly ahead of the Yankees and the Red Sox.
Yes. No doubt.
It's crazy.
You look over the last, even though you look in the last 5 years in the way that the organizations have done things, you can see the build of to why those teams are there as well. There's scaffolding on those, whereas it doesn't feel like there was as much scaffolding that was, able to hold the weight that they intended it to hold. It's a problem.
And the Red Sox firing Bloom this week is not that's something they've done. They've fired their general managers. I saw a stat that the average GM since Theo Epstein for Boston has lasted less than 4 seasons. Ben Cherington, Dombrowski, and now Bloom. And the Yankees have had obviously consistency with Cashman in that position for decades. So I by no means did I expect the Yankees to make an in-season decision, because that's just not what they do. But
and
I
also
just
the Red Sox also do. We talked about this before we went on air, but the names that you just mentioned are interesting because it's not like they just flipped around. They had Cherington, who was a Theo disciple, so they were basically just like trying to
continuation of Theo.
Keep that going. Then he got another job, right? Like, was it fire or was it like he?
Nah, it was like a mutual parting of ways.
Yeah. Okay, so a little bit of an asterisk there. Then Dombrowski was brought in as an assassin because that's what he does. He comes in, he assembles
and
a team,
did it.
Won a World Series.
And he did it.
He did, yeah, exactly. But then he goes because he blows the team up. He blows the he blows the system up for the short term and sometimes the long term, and just does the thing, causes complete chaos. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This time it worked. And then they're like, okay, let's go back to the well. And they saw this kid who was doing similar things that I think Theo and Cherington were doing in Tampa, and tried to recreate that. And maybe it just didn't work to what they believe. So would it shock you if Theo Epstein came back to the Red Sox? It would not shock me.
So the president of baseball or someone in the Red Sox system said Theo is not a candidate.
Okay.
He was asked that question and said Theo's not a candidate.
Yeah, because there are no candidates because he has the job already.
It would not shock me. But I don't think he would come back as general manager. He would come back as like probably
it would be manager and like president of baseball operations and like whatever else. He would get whatever he wanted.
He would maybe even minority ownership.
Possible, yeah. But he's in like he's working for baseball right now, right? He's in like
he's working
with he's working with like Joe Torre.
And I respected the hell out of what he said in the offseason about how the game has gone too far in one direction and is not entertaining anymore. I don't know if Theo wants that. Like working for baseball is probably a lot easier than working for an organization, a lot less pressure.
Less stressful.
But he did grow up in Boston, so he's a Red Sox fan, first. So I don't know if he could turn down ownership of the Red Sox, you know what I'm saying? Like a minority ownership stake.
Yeah.
He probably couldn't turn that down. And then he would hire a GM underneath him.
Right, a disciple.
Yeah. That would not shock me. But like going back to like, never expected the Yankees to make an in-season decision on Boone or Cashman. That's just not Hal's style. But in the offseason, again, if major changes do not come, you have to look yourself in the mirror at a certain point if you're Hal and say, well, this is on me now. Like, so something's not working and I'm not making a change.
At what point does change come?
Right. We got a few other things to talk about, but first, Game Time. I want to tell you guys why it is our preferred ticketing app. It's because it is the easiest way to buy tickets to whatever you want to go to: sporting events, concerts, comedy shows, theater, and much more. I've been checking out, Scott, some Patriots Jets tickets. The Patriots play at the Meadowlands in a couple weeks, and I was looking at the tickets before and after the Rodgers injury just to see. Like I was looking before, and they were one price, and they didn't really come down after the Rodgers injury.
A lot of season ticket holders, so there's probably not that. Yeah, you'll see them shift probably closer to the time.
I might hold out. Yeah, I might hold out. Leanne and I might go as a little parents get away for the afternoon.
That's exactly what Leanne wants to do. She wants to go to the football game.
She actually said she did.
Okay.
She's never been to a football game.
Get me out of here.
Literally anything is better than what we've got going on. Like, just leave the house, go sleep somewhere. She might just stay in the car and scroll Instagram. I don't know. The Game Time app has so many cool features and is easy to use. It shows you trending tickets, what sections the best deals are in, and it calls out cheap options from flash sales so you can make an informed purchase. There's also event cancellation protection so you can buy with confidence. I like the app because you get images of your seats before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect, which is huge as I'm looking at Meadowlands tickets because I've only been to that stadium once, so I want to know, how good the seats are. The buying process is super fast, just a couple taps and you're done. And then tickets go directly to your phone, so you don't have to go dig through your email to find them. You can snag tickets today without stress using Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Bronx for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, download the app, create an account, and use code Bronx for $20 off your first purchase.
And I will say that the images, spot on. Got them for the Springsteen show. It was in MetLife for the Springsteen show. Was exactly what I was expecting.
Before we talk about the Alex Rodriguez stuff, Carlos Rodon pitched in game 2 of Tuesday's game, struck out 9. He did still walk 4, 5 innings. According to Baseball Reference game score, it was his best outing as a Yankee.
All right,
and
Carlos.
Then
way to go,
5 innings, five solid from your $28 million a year man. There was an article published in SI where discussing his mechanical changes. I guess he's using his Blake cracked the code on Mr. Rodon. Apparently, got to use his lower body more. Surprise! You got to
drive with your legs. That's weird.
You got to use your lower body as a pitcher. It's not just all about your arm. Yeah. And he's
Roger Clemens told me that on Sunday Night Baseball.
Mm-hmm. You think Roger Clemens would make a good pitching coach?
Oh yeah, I think he would be. I think he's one of these guys that's like obsessed with the game and obsessed with the little things. When you listen to him talk about, even in Rodon's, in this article, they talk about the hand placement and where he grips the ball, because my boy Rob Refsnyder on second base causing problems for everybody, relaying signs, and then Carlos Rodon has the balls to look back at Rob Refsnyder and give him the shush sign. Come on. Know who you're talking to, Carlos, all right?
Know your role,
Take
Carlos.
your fucking mustache. Don't talk to Rob. I don't care what uniform he's wearing. Rob Refsnyder is a saint. Don't do that. So, you get 2 pitches, so it matters on what you do. If you go here, they know because you only have 2 pitches. So don't do anything different, and try to understand and be mindful of your hand placement in that glove, because he takes the grip apparently after he takes the sign. So there's a cadence there that could be picked up on. Sorry.
I also think Roger Clemens would go out to the mound in the 5th inning as Carlos Rodon is approaching 100 pitches and call him a pussy for not being able to get through the game.
Yeah. He would make him shave his mustache on the mound.
He would wax it and rip it off on the mound.
Rip it off. Yeah. Don't move.
And then he would inject him with a ton of steroids.
So Alex Rodriguez.
You don't want to talk about the mechanical changes to Carlos Rodon?
Oh yeah, let's do it. Yeah, because this is one of those articles that, if you've listened to the show for any amount of time, I get giddy about some of the mechanical stuff. And when we're looking at, changes that are made and effective, and when they become effective, it's like, yes, we did it. We figured it out. We cracked the code. We did the thing. And Blake has done that in the past, but he also has his tendencies on where he goes. But this one definitely feels like an article written in the middle of September in a non-playoff race season, when there's little things to take away, because all the things that they took away from Carlos Rodon and his release point and the change in the effectiveness of his pitches, really, really, they're slight and like a small sample size, and he pitched for 5 innings and he's a 2-pitch pitcher. I need more than that. I don't even know how you write an article about this.
You need more than 9 strikeouts against a team battling with you for last place and an SI article. That's what you need, more than that?
Yeah. And also in said start walking 4 guys as well in 5 innings. So it's like, and there were some opportunities that could have been made that start look very different.
8 base runners in those 5 innings.
Yeah. A couple little pokes out to, find some green, and we're looking at that stat line. I'm looking very different, and this article doesn't get written. So I'm just saying, it's a little bit of a stretch, which is exactly what he did, because he's now the fastball is closer to home plate when he's releasing. And I understand that can be a big deal. But I need more of a sample size to understand that he's actually doing the right thing.
Well, Logan pointed out something, that he did throw a couple curveballs early in that game, went away from it after that, still fastball slider, but did show the curveball in the game.
Cool. Good job, Carlos. I mean, make sure that you put that in your homework assignment for the off season. I think get a 3rd pitch, please.
A natural 3rd pitch to a fastball slider combination is a changeup, because the changeup is going to move it's going to obviously act more like the fastball, but it's going to, usually changeups move down slightly opposite of a slider. Obviously not as much break as a slider, but a changeup is going to have, if you're left-handed, move away from a right-handed hitter if you're Carlos Rodon throwing a changeup. So I feel like a changeup is the natural third pitch for a fastball slider pitcher.
The problem with a changeup is that it's not natural in the sense that it's not the way that you normally throw a ball. So it is a feel pitch that is hard to get a feel for.
And Carlos Rodon doesn't feel like a feel.
Doesn't feel like a feel guy.
Nah, he's a talent
I'm gonna throw
guy.
it as hard as I fucking can and hope to God that it goes over the plate. And then I'm gonna take a different grip of the ball and throw it as hard as I can towards the plate and hope it moves a little bit.
Yeah, he's a grip it and rip it type of guy.
Yeah, which, it can work at times, but I think for him, something like a different fastball, a two-seamer or a sinker, which I'm surprised that Blake hasn't put on him yet.
Because they put a sinker on everybody. Yeah,
like that to me, when you have a power pitcher, a la Roger Clemens, you have
he threw a splitter. He threw a splitter.
But to me, like you're getting this. It's a matter of, can you throw that sinker, that two-seamer, or can you throw the splitter? Like, which one can you throw more effectively and more confidently? Because they do the same thing in the repertoire, in my opinion.
Well, Roger Clemens is very interesting. I've heard him, and I've also heard Kurt Schilling talk about this. Earlier in their careers, they were fastball curveball pitchers, and then later in their careers, they were fastball splitter pitchers. So
yeah, because you want that deception off the fastball more so. I'm assuming as you're getting older, because it becomes different. Your challenges are different. And when your release point is the same and your fastball is effective, if you could get someone thinking it's a fastball and then it's another thing, then like that's really effective.
Now that we talked about this, I really want Roger Clemens to be the Yankees pitching coach next year. Like, I don't know. That would make me so happy.
What if he was just a manager?
Yeah, I mean, that could go sideways. Like, he knows pitching. I know he knows pitching. For all of Roger Clemens' faults, he's obsessed with pitching.
Imagine all the Aaron Boone tirades that he's come out and cried about the strike zone. Imagine that being Roger Clemens coming out to the umpire.
God. He would just body umpires.
Do you get tested as a manager?
You should. Can managers do steroids? Over under number of times Roger Clemens would be ejected from the game as manager. 25 and a half.
Yeah.
He's hit me over.
With steroids or without steroids? Because
Doesn't matter.
Very curious if they test at all. And if so, how many, like, is Gabe Kapler juicing right now? And nobody cares.
I think Gabe Kapler is just like keto.
Okay. But that would be an interesting poll to see how many managers are actually doing steroids.
And then Alex Rodriguez as hitting coach? No, I don't think. I don't think we want Alex Rodriguez anywhere near the dugout. So there was an article that is roughly 700,000 words long that was published.
It's so long
in ESPN.
I got halfway down. I was like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. And then I like scrolled.
When's the last time you read that? When's the last time you read that much?
I'm going to be very honest with you. I didn't finish it.
No, it's impossible. It's impossible. There was some shorter ones.
I was like, I scrolled and I was like, is there anything good in here? It's like all the same shit.
If you want the Cliff Notes version, I think Deadspin and the New York Post posted Cliff Notes version of the ESPN article, which is, I think, worth at least a read of part of it. But A-Rod on January 29th, 2014, which was before the season he was going to be suspended for the whole season on, had, quote, Queen of the Day status, which calling Alex Rodriguez Queen of the Day is
hilarious.
It's so good. It's so good.
That this might actually get me back into the t-shirt game.
You got a Queen of the Day with Alex Rodriguez's mug. Like, come on. That's going to sell. That is flying off the shelves.
I would wear that shirt. Absolutely wear that shirt.
So he had Queen of the Day status with prosecutors, which allowed him to share details without fear of legal prosecution to DEA agents. So they questioned him. I want to go through some of the highlights that he disclosed to these DEA agents. And we can stop and talk. Just stop me whenever you want to talk about one of them.
Okay. Real quick, I want to stop you before you even get going. Because to clarify one thing, does Alex Rodriguez still announce baseball on Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN? Everybody. Yeah, the answer is yes, right?
I think he needs to quit out of principle.
It's kind of a rhetorical question because this article was posted by ESPN. So your employer on Sunday Night Baseball, who thought it was a great idea for you to come back, is like, wait, I'm going to publish this really damning article. Like, granted, a lot of people knew a lot of the things, but it's really spelled out in this one because it's all from the records of the conversations that he had with DEA agents under status of Queen of the Day. Okay, keep going.
And this was in process of him, because after the suspension came down, like, remember he went on the Scorched Earth, he like barged into Francesa's studio and all
that
this
was
stuff
an all-timer, yeah,
in like a full suit, like a full like. Anyway, he said Alex Rodriguez did 3 former or then current players of Bosch he identified to the PED or to the DEA agents as clients of Bosch. Manny Ramirez, which we knew, Ryan Braun, which we knew, and another all-star player who did not go named in the article. Did not go
but if you scroll
named.
down 3 thumb lengths, there is a very clear picture of Alex Rodriguez at a Yankees-Red Sox game. Looked like it was at Yankee Stadium behind batting practice, so it was pregame, and doing like a hands up, like, I don't know, like I can't get caught pose with another player not named David Ortiz. That wasn't, the face wasn't there, but it was his back and you could see it. Ortiz's name not mentioned one time in the article, unless it was at the bottom when I didn't read, but I actually scrolled for his name and I didn't see it. And just a picture of him right after that. So not going to tell you who the name was because I can't say it because of legal reasons, because we've reached out to that person and they said no. So they don't want to get sued. But they got the Getty Images, picture of Alex Rodriguez doing the hands off, like not me, with doing the other guy doing the same pose of David Ortiz, which also completely confirms my story again, which I didn't need it confirming. But if anybody had any doubt in my story about Jose Lima and literally being on the phone, hearing David Ortiz admitting to steroid use, because that happened, I was there, I heard it, and it's David Ortiz.
Well, it's funny, the picture of the two of them, they both, like you said, have their hands up, like joking. And I was like, if you were to capture this, it's like they're practicing. I never met him. How do we sound natural saying this? I never met Bosch. I've never heard of that guy, Bosch. Yeah. Tell me it's David Ortiz without saying David Ortiz. Also, A-Rod acknowledged paying Bosch about $12,000 a month for doping protocols. Fueled by testosterone creams, red gummy-like lozenges containing testosterone, blah, blah, blah. Bosch also said that A-Rod would usually go through twice as much testosterone cream as any other client that he had.
Did you do that on purpose, or was it just hard to say testosterone?
I didn't do it on purpose. It's not the easiest word to say.
Yeah, so he was a big user. Big user.
Number one client of Bosch.
Number one client. And what was interesting is like the lozenges and the things that they would like, he would put apparently one of these little gummies under his tongue every game to give a little bit of an immediate energy boost. But then the cream, there was the whole regimen of like the cream bringing your testosterone levels back to normal. I don't think I knew that, or if I forgot that part of it. If I did know it at one point, I didn't realize
it's a masking agent.
Yeah, I didn't know that the cream was that. Like, rub it on, and now your testosterone levels. Even
so, he needed twice as much because he was doing twice as many steroids.
Right, and it even divulged some of the ways that they got around some of the piss tests. About don't test in the beginning, don't test at the end of your stream. Make sure you use the midstream pee so that,
just move the cup away at the start, move it in the middle, and move it away at the end. Yeah. And so he also said this was between late 2010 through October 2012. This is obviously after Alex Rodriguez originally had that sit down conversation with Peter Gammons before the 2009 season. It's saying he only used steroids while he was in Texas and vowed to never use steroids again. Well, this was after that. Alex Rodriguez made,
and if you believe that, I got to bridge this, Elliot.
Yeah,
because you're telling me that in Seattle at some point it wasn't, or I still don't believe that either.
No, he only did it. He only did it in Texas, and then when he got to the Yankees, where there was more pressure to perform, he stopped doing it.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Makes sense.
He made cash-only payments to Bosch to conceal involvement with the hormone specialists and blah, blah, blah. Rodriguez told agents he wrote checks from his business account to Sukart, which is cousin Yuri, who initially acted as the middleman funneling cash to Bosch. Did you ever watch that? I think we talked about that documentary on Netflix about Bosch and the whole A-Rod stuff. And
of course.
They use kids. They use kids to like portray everything. Really, really fun documentary. But this is a lot of information was from. I recognize a lot of this information from that documentary. He told the authorities that he fired cousin Yuri after a forensic accounting analysis of his bank accounts revealed that his cousin frivolously spent approximately $250,000 to $500,000 of his money without his approval.
Yeah, not the laundered money, but this was on the books money that cousin Yuri just scooped up. And here's the thing. It's really hard to understand what is true and what is a lie, or what is not a lie, I guess. more rephrasing that, like what is not a lie in here? It's like sifting through shit trying to find a needle or a little piece of truth. And like cousin Yuri, the whole was with him for pretty much the entire time. Like he was his guy for a while as well. And the tactics that they had, it's like describing how they slow played Bosch just to test him out and feel him out. It's like, you've done this before. This is not the first time you've done this before. This is methodical. Like you're literally like introducing things in stages and throwing hints because you've done this before and probably it didn't work the way you wanted to. So now you're adjusting your tactics. It's so sketchy. The whole thing is just makes you feel like he's such a scumbag, man. Like the fact I don't still understand how he is in the public eye doing the things that he's doing with broadcast and such. He's not good. Like number one, so get rid of the name, get rid of what the past. He's just not good at what he does. And two, all of this is such a cloud and then ESPN puts out a hit piece on their own guy. It's just so weird. It's also weird why Derek Jeter even shows his face with this guy at all. I don't get it.
Yeah, I didn't understand why Jeter agreed to the Fox thing. It's like, what are you doing, man? Like, you're going to sit with Ortiz and A-Rod and bullshit with them?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it struck me as odd. He said cousin Yuri demanded on Christmas Eve 2012 $5 million for not exposing Rodriguez's dealings with Bosch to Major League Baseball. And then he acknowledged to lying to Yankees president Randy Levine when he called him in November 2012, asking if he ever met Bosch. Alex Rodriguez said, I don't know anything about Bosch. I had never had a relationship with Bosch. So he acknowledged lying to Randy Levine. I'm cool with lying to Randy Levine because, talk about scumbags, put those two next to one another. He revealed to agents that Bosch had labeled his testosterone levels
different levels of scumbag, different types of that. I'm not putting.
I just hate Randy Levine's face.
I know you do, and I don't like him either.
This is my favorite. Hold on,
but they're different.
Don't interrupt my favorite one from the article. He revealed to agents that Bosch labeled his testosterone levels as, quote, low for a man of his age after blood analysis. Although not part of the doping protocol, Rodriguez volunteered that he had also illegally received Cialis and Viagra from Bosch, telling investigators it was, quote, for fun. And you just know that A-Rod said this line because he thought he was like being bros with these DEA agents. And he's like trying to make a joke. Like, yeah, I got Viagra for fun. Fucking chicks. To DEA agents. What a complete and utter tool bag.
Yeah. The stupid laugh came right after that. And yeah, I don't know, man. Like the guy is so disconnected from reality that it checks out. All of this stuff checks out because he's just so disconnected. He lives now in a different world, and he then even more of a different world, because at that point he thought he was invincible. He thought like nothing was going to ever. When you go through the lengths that you do to cover up what you're doing and then continue to do it, even after the world knows that you got busted for something, and to the levels that you go, the depths of the places you go to meet people, the way that you get them money, the scumbags that you're dealing with to do all those things, like there's some serious problems with your brain if you're continuing to do this after already being busted, and you truly have a disconnect from reality and think that you're untouchable.
Yeah, the article also mentioned Francisco Cervelli as one of the Yankees teammates that A-Rod brought into his inner circle with Bosch. I forgot Cervelli got popped for steroids.
I was going to ask if we knew that. We did know that. Yeah,
we did know that.
And by the way, Melky Cabrera, 100% one of the guys was
Robinson Cano, I'm sure, was introduced.
And Robinson Cano was, smoke, there's fire. I know Cano's never been popped, and there were rumors as he was leaving and it came up afterwards.
You said Cano has never been popped? He was popped?
Or he was popped. I'm sorry. At that time, he hadn't been. Yeah. At the time when he left the Yankees is what I meant.
Yeah.
And then, so Cano, these are introduction guys. So the scumbag of A-Rod spread like a disease in baseball, and unfortunately through the Yankees.
And of course, like there's no way that didn't permeate throughout the Yankees clubhouse. Like the players who are not doing steroids. And again, we're never going to know if Derek Jeter and Mariano Rivera and Jorge Posada ever did steroids. Right? We want to believe they never did. We're never going to know. Andy Pettitte, we know, did HGH because he was Roger Clemens' buddy, and Roger Clemens introduced. So like anyone, like who knows? But let's assume for the sake of this conversation, Jeter and those guys were clean. Of course they knew A-Rod was doing it and spreading it to their other teammates. So it's like that also has an impact on the clubhouse that I'm sure wasn't great.
Yeah, which also gets me back to the point. Like Jeter, you avoided A-Rod for all these years, knowing what a scumbag and bad for your image he is. Why are we back sitting next to him and talking to him in public? I don't get it.
So if you have like 15 hours to spare, go read that ESPN article.
I'm not sure anybody under the age of 30 can finish that article.
I couldn't do it. Hold on. Do you think people
we're just not conditioned for that?
Do you think people under the age of 30 care? Logan, do you care about this stuff of A-Rod?
I think Logan thinks it's interesting.
Do I care? It interests me because like I like A-Rod. Well, I liked A-Rod when I was like young, and I kind of like, like.
Does it make you sad now that you know all this stuff about him?
Yeah, like I don't love that. I don't love that. I don't love. I guess I don't love learning about like this side of it. Like obviously, like I knew he like did steroids and like it. I made my like opinion on it, and I don't know. As a younger generation, I think that like my generation doesn't really like. We don't frown on steroids the same way that other people have, because it was just so like readily everywhere. It was like you kind of just grew up with it until it all.
I don't frown on steroids either. I don't care really that A-Rod did steroids. I just think the rest of the stuff around it, like the same reason why I think Ryan Braun is a scumbag, because he tried to drag people down with him. You do steroids, okay, like fine. But then you do all this other stuff, that's where you start to really have problems with people and their actions.
I just don't know. You don't know about all the other stuff until it comes out of like, right. What actually, because I guarantee you everybody who did steroids has probably not to this length, but has stories that are very sketchy and like
because they had to go
do this thing. They knew it was illegal.
They had to go to the lengths to hide everything because it was illegal. And there was as much about taking the steroids, as much work it was to take the steroids. You had to do triple the amount of work to conceal the steroids and go through the avenues to get them without a trace, to mask your testosterone, all that kind of stuff. I can't say that word.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to keep you saying it because it's funny. But yeah, and then also your dealings with the people that got it to you. Like
you're not going to be dealing with upstanding individuals. You're going to be dealing with cousin Yuri and Tony Bosch. Like these are scumbags.
Yeah. Well, he definitely like put himself in the party of or in the company of like the deepest scumbags you could it's like mafia level scumbag at this point, but like guys who want to be mafia but not actually mafia. It's like those, I'm gonna run in the circles, but I know I'm sketchy as hell too. And he just was a good salesman and did the things that A-Rod did. He needed his pawns and he found them.
So while the article did not say David Ortiz, it said basically that third player of A-Rod's inner circle with Bosch was David Ortiz. I don't think it was Francisco Cervelli, because I don't think Cervelli ever made an all-star team.
Plus they mentioned his name. No, they mentioned his name.
That's right. They mentioned his name. So wild stuff.
And this was an all-star level player that was significant. And yeah, so yes, no, Ortiz was not named in this. No. But he was named in the Mitchell report. Is that right?
He was in the 2003 anonymous quote unquote survey. He admitted to using PEDs.
How can you be in an anonymous survey?
The Mitchell report surfaced that thing, and players got mad because they said this was supposed to be anonymous, and then it became not anonymous. A-Rod was in there, Manny was in there, Ortiz was in there, the other big names. I mean, he was definitely in there. There was one other big name that to this day kind of falls in that Ortiz category.
Biggio? Bagwell?
No, it's someone that played in like I can't think of it. That
Bagwell was on
people-
one of those that was like
yeah, but
like he was a fringe guy.
this name, because to this day people are like, Ortiz never failed a test, so he didn't do it. Blah blah blah. But
Piazza
it's
was
like,
also one of those guys that was like
yeah,
fringe.
maybe it was Piazza that I was thinking about, but it wasn't Sheffield. I can't think of who it was that was one of the big stars of that era.
Bichette.
No, we're not going to get there.
I'm just going to keep naming names.
I don't know.
So yeah, they're in case you didn't know, Giants scumbag. A lot of people love him. I don't know why.
Giambi was on that list. I don't think Giambi ever failed a test either, but we all knew Giambi did it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Good talk. Good episode.
So wild card elimination number is 9.
Okay.
As of right now.
So just win the rest of your games and have other teams.
So if they win
lose
the rest of the
their
games, we went through this, 15 games left. They get to 89 wins. I said that my belief is that you need to get to 90 to get into the playoffs for the Yankees specifically. Other teams may get in under 90, but the Yankees needed 90, I think. So if that is true, then yes, they are eliminated according to my count.
Well, we
right
will
now.
see the judge thing if they are officially eliminated and say there's a week and a half to go in the season or a week to go in the season, if they shut him down at that point, because he might be.
That would make no sense because they are.
No.
Again, this is them just doing things afterwards.
Has anything in this season made any sense?
No.
Okay. No. That'll wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for listening. And again, thank you to Game Time for sponsoring us today. Use code Bronx, download the app. You get $20 off your first purchase. Talk to you guys next time.